Do you, as a writer, do you keep hold of all of your old manuscripts and old attempts at your writing, your novels, even your screenplays or short stories? Do you keep hold of all that stuff that going back years and years and years? Because you should. And I'm going to today, for the first time in many years, I am going to dig out a load of my old manuscripts and have a look at them because I haven't seen them for many, many, and I'm talking decades since I last looked at some of the stuff that I wrote. So, just a little bit of background. I actually started writing when I was 18 years old, so back in the late 80s, 1980s. And back in that day, there was no internet to speak of. I think the internet was in its infancy. People didn't have like home computers, didn't have access to the internet. So you couldn't, like, when I was starting to write, I couldn't like Google how to write. I didn't know where to kind of learn the craft. So I did buy some kind of how-to books. So you've got the writer's journey, a lot of other books that I bought. So I did buy that stuff, but you couldn't just, if you had a query, you couldn't just type on Google and get an instant link and answer to it all. And you didn't have like mobile phones back then. You didn't have access to the internet on your phone. You couldn't just, you know what I mean. You just were kind of. I was like kind of scrambling around in the dirt back in those days, and as a consequence, a lot of the stuff that I wrote was absolutely dire, as you can imagine. But it was a learning curve, and I look back on some of that stuff, or try to remember some of the stuff that I wrote, and I think, my God. But here's the thing: I actually tried to publish. I actually tried to query kind of agents with this absolute crap that I had. So today I'm going to dig out all of those manuscripts and have a look at them and show you some of the stuff that I was actually doing. And back in the day, also because I didn't have computers, I didn't have a computer, and certainly people. It wasn't a common thing in homes. So I was like kind of handwriting. When I started out writing, I was handwriting in notepads, like A4 notepads. And then I progressed to getting a typewriter, so I would type things up. You couldn't like make corrections on a typewriter, so if you made mistakes, you had to retype an entire page or get some Tipp-Ex and Tipp-Ex it out. And it was just absolute. I just remember like endless days of just typing away and making mistakes and having to redo it, and all of your ink kind of running out and your pages getting fainter and fainter. And it was just, I remember when I got my first computer, so I was able to type on a computer. It was great, absolutely fantastic. And you were able to print out a clean sheet of manuscript. It was absolutely amazing. So I'm going to take you to my secret little cupboard in the corner of my office, and I'll show you my hidden little gems. So this is where I've been keeping all of my old manuscripts and books, stuff that I've written, film scripts that I've written many years ago. And these are the ones that I like kind of had handwritten and typed up on a typewriter. Obviously, I've got a lot more which I did on a computer, and they're all kind of on hard drives, etc., etc. But these are like the original stuff that I was writing when I was just first starting out. So they've been in this box here for many, many years, and they've kind of come with me as I've moved house. I think I've moved house 3 or 4 times over the years, and they've gone from like cardboard boxes into these plastic tubs to keep them more protected. So I'm going to pull these out and I'm going to have a look to see what is exactly in these, because I've got an idea, but I haven't looked at them for many, many years. So these are all the manuscripts that I wrote as an early author when I was back in my. Well, I started writing when I was 18, so from the age of 18, I think these were right into my kind of 20s. And then I kind of stopped writing and I was writing film scripts, and then obviously I got married, I had kids, I was a single parent for about 15 years. So a lot of my writing was put on hold while I was kind of bringing up a family and just living a normal kind of life, because like the day-to-day stuff kind of gets in the way of writing. So there was a lot of lots of gaps in years where I wasn't writing, but I had kind of projects that were kind of sitting there and half completed, and I was still kind of going back and doing little bits and bobs, but I was distracted for many years by writing film scripts and trying to become a filmmaker. So I kind of went away from writing novels for a long period of time, and I didn't come back to it until 2010s. So I actually published a novel in 2016, which I've talked about in other videos, but and then I withdrew that. So it's only in recent times, like last year, 2024, when I've seriously got back into writing novels.